Hey guys, this is Telis here, and I am back doing beta videos for World of Warcraft. This video is basically, it's going to be really short. It's just going to kind of give you an idea of how I'm going to be doing the videos this time around. Last time I basically took each spec and I broke down everything about the new abilities that you were getting, the new talents that you were getting, the different talents you were getting, and then the glyphs and changes to glyphs that are happening in that class. Well, things are quite different in Legion than they are in Warlords of Draenor. And so I'm going to have to be doing the reviews or overviews of classes a little bit different than I did in Warlords of Draenor. First of all, there are no more major glyphs. I can no longer do any more major glyphs because they've taken it out of the game. So that's something that I will not be doing this time around. However, instead of that, I'm going to be looking at artifact weapons and the abilities that you can get in the artifact weapons. So, if you don't know, when you get into Legion, one of the first things that you do at level 100 is you get your artifact weapon, and that is basically the weapon you will use throughout the entire course of the entire game. So, that will be replacing glyphs, and that's kind of the main change there. Instead of doing everything in one video, there's just way too much to process to be able to do that. Some of the changes, I roughly estimate about maybe 2/3 of the specs in the game are completely different from how they play on live. Like, there is catastrophic changes to every single class in this game. I cannot think of a single class in Legion that is anywhere remotely close. There are some that I'm going to have to approach as a completely brand new spec. For instance, Survival Hunters. It retains the name, but really the only ability that you're going to remember from it is going to be traps, unless you're thinking far back into the past with hunters, and then you're going to see the return of some abilities that you have not seen in a very long time. But survival hunters are not the only spec that is like that. Enhancement shamans are another good example. You'll see a lot of very familiar spells, but many of they all function differently. Everything functions differently, and how you play is completely different. So I'm not kidding when I say about 2/3 of the specs that are currently in Warlords of Draenor are very much different to how they are in Legion. So what's going to happen is, because that's going to take up a lot of time, I'm going to split it once again by spec, but I'm going to split it into a talents section and then an abilities section. And the first section I'll do is the abilities section, and I'll pair that also with looking at your artifact weapons. So I'll look at all the changes to your base abilities, and then I will look at your artifact weapon. A lot of just looking at the abilities, we'll be looking at how the abilities have changed. They've done a lot of visual improvements on the abilities. Now, Warlords of Draenor, they did a lot of changes with the, how how characters looked. They updated the graphics of the game. They updated the art style. This time around, they really went to work on the visual effects, going back through, looking at old spells and updating them. And that's why, if you haven't noticed, there's kind of a more of an increase in the system requirements for Legion, and that is mostly because of the particle effects that you're going to see in Legion. There's going to be a lot of particle effects being thrown out everywhere. I mean, just Fire Mage alone has almost all of its spells have been changed, and they're a lot flashier, and overall it just makes it more fun to play. But that's kind of a major change that's there. So when I go through that first portion, like if I'm doing Fire Mage, like the first thing that I'll do is I'm going to go through the Fire Mage and its abilities and show you what they look like differently, and then I'll go into the artifact weapon and show you what the artifact weapon kind of talent tree will give you. The reason why I want to go through each of the abilities and kind of show you what they look like is because if you're playing out there, things are going to look so different. You're going to be confused. You're going to be wondering, what was that ability that just hit me? What was that? That was really cool. And you're not going to know it because you're so used to the way spells look like today. You're not going to notice it if you're playing in PvE or even, or more importantly, if you're playing in PvP, you're not going to understand. It took me a while to figure out this new spell that was coming out of a paladin was actually Consecrate. They updated the visuals on it drastically, and you wouldn't notice that unless you actually are being updated on what these new spell visuals are looking like. So that's why there's going to be an abilities section paired with looking at the actual looking at the artifact weapon and the artifact weapon talent tree and what it brings. And then the second video is going to go into talents. So it's going to go into the full talent tree, and then it's going to go into the PvP talent tree. Know that in Legion there are two different talent trees. There is the normal talent tree, which is for all PvEers, and then there is the PvP talent tree, which has even more I guess, selection for PvP players to have, and these are more the PvP specific spells. There was another kind of purge of abilities in Warlords, and excuse me, in Legion. Warlords of Draenor did a lot, Legion did some more, but at the same time, you're getting them back through the PvP talent tree a lot of times, and then sometimes through the regular talent tree. So the talent trees have changed drastically from the last time. You'll only notice, I would say, on average, 3 of the tiers in a talent tree will still be the same. Even then, they may have different kind of usage for those abilities, but overall, the talent trees are changing pretty drastically. So that is how I'm going to do that. I'm going to go through each spec in the game, which is, I believe, up to 36 now, with the two new specs that are coming from Demon Hunter. And I will go through them, and some of them, like I said, I'm going to have to treat like completely different classes almost. Enhancement Shaman, Survival Hunter, Shadow Priest. There's a lot. Demon Hunter isn't going to be, the two specs of Demon Hunter aren't going to be the only two classes that are kind of brand new. Many classes are going to seem very brand new to you. So, that is how I am doing the videos. Now, before I leave you, I would like to point out 2 small changes to the UI that are quality of life changes. These are just 2 things that I want to point out before the end of this video. And the first is that they kind of, they took a little bit from Tidy Plates, in that if you ever have Tidy Plates on your screen, you can actually see, you know, the little really clean, you know, kind of bars above players, and you can see, you know, their health and so forth. They kind of took that from Tidy Plates. It's very clean and efficient now, so you can see what's going on. You can see, you know, what spells or abilities you have on them. I believe Tidy Plates is still a little bit more customizable and usable, but this is, I mean, you know, it's a good change for the game. The other thing that you would want to notice is that, as you can see, when I'm in combat here, you can see little health bar and mana bar down at the bottom now. I know many people like to change their UI so that puts their health portrait, you know, right next to where the center of gravity of where their character is. That's not necessarily going to be the case. You may not want to do that anymore because they give you that small little health bar and mana bar, and it does show runes and other parts of a class. If, you know, depending on the class, you know, Death Knight runes, it's going to show different stuff for Moonkins, etc. So definitely a change there. And then the other major change, if you haven't noticed, but we'll discuss it and you'll see it in all the classes, is another thing that can be kind of irritating is they've changed a lot of the sound effects in the game. They're very different. They really went to work and overhauled almost all of the sound in the game. So that is why I'm kind of going through all of the abilities, so you guys can actually see the major changes that are coming to the game, because if you're going into PvP, you're not going to know what's going on, because all of this stuff is going to be foreign to you for the first time since you've played since vanilla. I mean, that's how different things are. I mean, yes, in you know, Wrath of the Lich King, you got a new character, a new class in the Death Knight, and you got a new class in the Monk, and that was, you know, kind of difficult. You had to kind of figure out one class and what they were, you know, different. This time it's completely different. You're talking about many classes that are completely different, and you're gonna have to kind of, you know, orient yourself and learn these new sound effects and these new abilities and what they look like. So that is why I'm doing the videos this way. In the end, it'll probably end up being more than 72 videos, I believe it is. 36 specs times 2, so it's going to be a lot. I hope to get to all of them before the pre-patch goes live, which I believe will go live around July, the very end of July. And I'm hoping that I can do that beforehand. If I don't, I'm really sorry. Otherwise, that is everything for the introduction for the Legion videos. Um, if you want, I will leave a poll in the comment section of this video, and you guys vote on what you guys want to see next in terms of specs, because I'm going to go down the line and go through specs. I will go, you know, with an ability overview, and then I'll follow up immediately with the talent. I'm not going to do, you know, abilities with certain classes and then get to talents later. No, I'm going to do them back to back just so that you guys always have them, you know, next to one another. It'll be a little bit more simple to follow and to understand. So, that is everything in the overview. If you guys are interested, be sure and like and subscribe, and there will be a lot of Legion videos coming your way. Otherwise, Tearless out. See you guys later.